So they cut me off. They said something about my celebrity personality assessment, meaning like I might have a similar personality as a celebrity. And they said they're in these industries. So when they're talking about things like handler, or they're talking about things like private things that will go on with the celebrity, they said because they work with celebrities. I don't. Which goes back to their initial lies that they were saying that I would have inside information about celebrities. I don't. So when we're talking about this, the internet does help because the internet, various victims from years ago put things up on the internet. So now we can go back and refer to that and do our research from that. And we're putting up information in real time right now, and we're matching everything up. So then we go to the point of, well, what was the point of all of this? The point of all of this, I think, is just like what another targeted individual said, to now turn victims into the perps and create chaos so that by the time we unravel years and years and decades of this, we become the people like, oh, you guys are lying, you're scamming people, or you know, you're creating this. No. One really good video that talked about this years before was out of California. Actually, two out of California. One, there were men, and it seems like the majority of the men were gay. They could have all been gay. And they talked about a guy hearing, and they said in this area, I believe, I can't remember exactly where they are in California, but they said in this area, hundreds of people heard voices. How could hundreds of people hear voices at the same time? So hundreds of people heard voices, but they interviewed these guys. And when the guys ended up moving away from where they were living and living together, or, part of a group, um, community to help each other, one guy said he used to be a lawyer, a clerk for a judge. And he said people would talk to him about this, and he thought like, wow, that's strange. But until it happened to him, he couldn't understand. Meaning these weren't people who just happened to start hearing voices. These were people who, a clerk for a judge, a woman who is also from California, did a community mobbing news report. She was part of it, and she's a doctor. So these were people who had lives, and they wouldn't make these things up. So to turn them into perps doesn't make any sense. To turn it into something that people are just all of a sudden uh lying about doesn't make any sense. The woman who's the doctor, her report was she would leave her home, and when she came back, the windows were all open at the same level. She found a camera in her home. They would pull out the drawers, things to mess with her mind, which goes back to what I said when they said this psychological assessment, like figuring out exactly, someone said, oh no, figuring out exactly how to mess with your mind game. So I'm going to call this video Continuing the Mind Game, because I talked about mind games before. It's about manipulating you. It's about keeping you on this constant mind game. And I'm going to link those two videos in this description. Thank you for watching.